Episode 16 of the Signs of the Times. 52 signs of the times, prophetic signs that you find in the Bible referring to what the Bible calls the end times. Episode 16 is called Fig Tree. Let me read from Luke. He, that is Jesus, told them this parable. Look at the fig tree and all the trees. When they sprout leaves, you can see for yourselves and know that summer is near. Even so, when you see these things happening, you know that the kingdom of God is near. He's talking about the fig tree being a picture of Israel in the Bible. And he says, as a sign of the times, watch the fig tree. When the fig tree comes back to life, when you see that it starts to blossom, get green leaves, etc., fruit, then you understand that summer is near. And summer is also a picture in the Bible for the kingdom of God to come. And he explicitly said so. When you see it happen, you must know that the kingdom of God is near, that beautiful kingdom of peace and righteousness, flowing forth from Jerusalem into the whole world. You can hardly believe it now that the Middle East is such a hot spot and so many conflicts are going on there. But it's prophecy, and when you read it in the book of Matthew, Matthew only recorded that Jesus said the fig tree. But Luke adds something. He says, look at the fig tree and all the trees. So apparently the fig tree, Israel, is in the midst of a lot of other trees. As miraculously as we see the restoration of Israel, we also see the restoration of the nations, the Arab nations around Israel. It's like we see the whole picture of the Old Testament come back to life. Small Israel in the middle of a sea of hostile nations. The fig tree in the midst of all the trees. Now, Israel is returning home, and that's a miracle of God. Let me share a few verses from the many prophecies we find in the Bible that speak about how the Jewish people one day would come back from all the corners of the world back to Israel. Isaiah 43, God says this, do not be afraid, O Israel, he says, for I am with you. God is with Israel. Do not be afraid. I will bring your children from the east and gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not hold them back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth, everyone who's called by my name, whom I created for my glory, whom I formed and made. Now, when you hear in the Bible about north, south, east, west, don't look from the place where you live to the north and the south and the east and the west, but put your feet in Jerusalem, in Israel. And then look on the map of the world to the east and the west and the north and the south. So God says, I will bring your children from the east, meaning from the countries of the Middle East, and from the Far East, from Japan and China and Australia, India. And I will gather you from the west. The west, looking from Israel on the map of the world, is Europe. And ultimately the Americas, North and South America. And we've seen them come. Survivors of the death camps of the Holocaust in Europe. Almost like literally skeletons returning to the land of Israel. I will say to the north, give them up. And the north, looking from Jerusalem on the map of the world, of course, ultimately is Russia. and the former Soviet republics. And we saw the great groups of Jews coming out of the land of the north. Suddenly, from one day to another, the Iron Curtain collapsed. Communism collapsed in Russia. And nobody could get out. And suddenly, the Iron Curtain opened. And thousands upon thousands of Jews could come out of the land of the north, back to the land of Israel. Because if God gets into action, nobody can stop him. And also from the south. And the south, of course, looking from Israel, is Africa. And we've seen them come, the black Jews from Ethiopia and from other parts of Africa. From all the corners of the world, they return back to the promised land. There are not that many Jews left in the world, by the way. Maybe 15 million all in all. 7+ million live in Israel today. 4 to 5 million maybe in the United States of America, 1 to 2 million still in the former Soviet Union. But they're coming again and again to the land. So they are restored. How are they coming back? Do they believe in Jesus? No, only some of them. Many even have lost their faith in God because of all the atrocities they went through, especially in the lands of Christianity. So how are they returning? As a faithful people, as an obedient people, as a Christian people? No, not at all. It's exactly what the prophet says. Lead out those who have eyes but are blind, who have ears but are deaf. So they are returning. God is bringing them back from the four corners of the world, still blind and deaf. Blind for the words of the gospel, blind for who Jesus is, deaf for the words of God. It's exactly like this that it happens. They will not remain blind and deaf. When they have come back to the land, God will take away the blindness and the deafness. And then the moment will arrive that they will see Jesus come in glory. And we all will see him, riding on the clouds, shining like the sun. And of his kingdom there shall be no end.